It's past 1:30, so I'll call the meeting to order of the Wastewater Treatment Commission on Wednesday, October 14th at 1:30 p.m. Second item is to review the minutes of the November 9th, 2020 meeting. If there isn't any corrections or changes, we're looking for a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes and accept them.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the November 9th, 2022 meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? None. Motion carried. Next item is supervisory reports.
Alright, so the first supervisory report, just to update everyone. Collections crew spent quite a bit of time this last month finishing televising the West Side Interceptor, kind of where we left off last year. They just kept going towards the lift station farther and farther. So they're getting all of that cleaned and televised, and we can use that information for when we go forward for a lining project. But they got a majority of it done now, so that actually went pretty well for them. They're able to use just bypass it with bypass plugs, and we didn't have to do any pump arounds, so it went pretty well. The rest of the time, what they were doing a lot of televising for engineering for pre-construction on Lincoln, so that took up a lot of their time, but I think they pretty much finished up all their pre-construction now for 2024 televising. As far as the plant goes, some of the major things we did here, we replaced some water lines that we had in our basement for our heat loop on our digesters. So that was kind of a bigger project that we had to be shut down completely for, water drained and providing no heat for our digesters for most of the day. But we contracted out to Haza Mechanical, and they were able to do that work pretty fast and pretty efficient, and we got those repaired, and now we can insulate them again, and they'll be good to go for hopefully many years. This time we'll make sure that water doesn't get in them and cause corrosion like it did last time. Besides that, I know we kind of talked about it last month, but our north final clarifier was down for part of the month, and Lamont's company, PERS, was working on a skimmer arm for that and putting in energy dissipating baffles. So that stuff wrapped up, and it caused a little bit of some treatment issues, which we'll get to later. But for the most part, there was treatment issues that we knew were going to happen just from having to go down to one clarifier. And but that work is completely done, and it's been operating good. And that's kind of the major things we did last month. So that's all I have for that report.
I noticed in the report you said something about slug loads again from the landfill.
Oh, I should be moving this down. Yeah, we are continuing to have some slug loads from them. They're a lot better than they were. They've been trying to pump their cells down more effectively, and kind of daily or every other day versus letting them build up and then pump. But I haven't talked to them in like 2 weeks now, but I want to see, they should be getting close to the point where their cell that they're having issues with will be capped now, but I'm not sure where that is. But I do get their daily flow reports now, and I can see that they've been a little better as far as flow, but they still could help us out a little more. if they really worked on it. But we've been in communication with them to try to get that under control. But it has still been a problem for us. We've still been battling that. So,
Okay. Any other questions on supervisory reports? Okay, if not, we'll move to the next item.
well, actually, oh, sorry, Dave, Al still has the monthly plant report, where you can talk about the numbers, so.
Well, like Derek said, with the work wrapping up that Lamont and PERS was doing at the beginning of the month with the down to one clarifier. Some of the numbers in the beginning of the month, we had some higher values for BODs and CBODs and TSS, which being related to having one clarifier. And then actually, we were able to, once they got that work done and get the other ones online, you can see that things have really, for the rest of the month, with even phosphorus, with all the solids into that, nothing that was going to be a permit issue for us, is that we were able to handle it, and it was just a short window where that took place, and hopefully we're clear of that, and then with the landfill, hopefully now ending some of that stuff, we'll see more consistent results and back to normal treatment. Still deal with some settling issues at the plant where our settling has creeped up, but having the second clarifier back and working like it has been now for most of the month, or last month, and then now continuing on, has been good for us. So other than that, it's just a pretty easy month as far as treatment went, other than the beginning of that month where we dealt with some of the same problems with the landfill leachate, and then the high values of dealing with some of the toxicity loads that we're receiving.
So these numbers, like the 16, like 1114 was 16,000 pounds, that was from the landfill?
That would partially be related to that. I'm sure if you look back, we'd have to look exactly what Mariani said is higher loads on those days. We don't have it broke down to here as far as industry goes on each one, what they're contributing to that, but
Some of those bigger days
look
are
at like the second,
from
that's really related, that was definitely related to some issues we had with bulking from the landfill leachate and the toxicity loads with, the effluent BODs of 45, a TSS of 79, that's extremely high actually for us, so.
Yeah, and it's really tough too, because we have some low days, so when you only get a 6,000 pound day, that's really good, but just the swings of going from 6,000 to 16,000 back to 6,000, our treatment plants aren't really designed for just to get smacked like that in one day. You're growing bacteria that's 15, 20 days old, so when it has one bad day, it takes a while to recover. So so we've still been dealing with those issues a little bit, but hopefully they start to get a little better, and especially once we have just snow instead of rain, that will help the landfill a little bit. But like I said, we've been kind of talking with them and still want to get them on the same page more when they have higher flow days. Like normally they send 30,000 gallons a day of water, well then the next day it'll be 90,000 gallons. We got to get that under control a little better. So I think they're more aware of it than ever before. They did receive their quarterly bills, which were like quadruple what they normally are, and seemed to be a little shocked by that. So I think the message was clear that way, that
Money makes things happen
yeah.
both ways.
Mm-hmm. But that's it for the plant report, unless you got anything else.
No.
Okay, any other questions on the plant report? Hearing none, we'll move on to the beer and contract update.
So the latest report that I got from the Buren contract update is from Sue, and she said that that contract and paperwork has been handed off to the lawyers, so it is in litigation right now, and she hasn't heard anything since, so it's been in their hands for, I think, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks. And I contacted her just to see if there was any kind of update, but there wasn't. So that paperwork, or that whole contract paperwork is in their hands, and we're waiting to hear back from that to see if that, what they say about the original contract and if it's completely broke or not. I think Sue also sent all 3 invoices for first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter too, with the non-contract bills. And I don't know if Buren has responded to those or not, but they may just wanna wait until the lawyers decide what's going on. So that's all I
Did
got.
we meet in the council meeting, and wasn't that September when the council set up, or was that October?
I think that was October.
So we've gone 2 months without the lawyers doing a whole lot.
I guess, I mean, I don't know what they're going through it, I guess. This is kind of the next step, and like I said, it's kind of out of our hands now, waiting on the lawyers to read that contract and decipher what is legit or not about breaking the contract, so.
Haven't they had that contract for over a year? Is it same law firm that we've been with the whole time?
I guess they've had it, but there was never really a point where we had them look into it about making sure that the contract is going to be broken. So,
No, it's not broken, there just isn't one.
yeah, just
There isn't
completely
one.
cancel.
Well, there is one, they have to decide if
That's
it's,
what they gotta
if it can be
decide.
broken, because it said it has to be agreed upon by both parties. That's in the contract,
Yeah,
so.
so that's for them to decide, 'cause
Right.
I guess at this point, yeah, Buren's saying, no, we're still under the old contract. The city's saying, no, we're not under the old contract, and that's where they're gonna decide
Right.
once and for all.
Okay, any other questions about the beer and contract update? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to discuss West Side Lift Station pump upgrades.
So I know we talked about it a couple months back about, the issues we had with West Side of, backing up water and what to do about it. In the last several months, the guys here have spent a lot of time looking at the design of the lift station. We did a lot of pump down, draw down tests, and kind of confirmed that what the pumps are doing there and what the lift station was originally designed for is meeting that total that total flow of just over 3 MGD a day. Just looking back at several records, going back 10-15 years, we do have evidence showing that we've had days that are over that, around close to 4 million, days that would make us back up again. And there's still a lot of things we can do as far as I&I, but they take a ton of time. And even the West Side Interceptor, we have been televising that, and there's evidence of I&I, but we just haven't found anything that is just a smoking gun that says, yep, we can fix this and everything, all of our problems are gonna go away as far as ever backing up West Side again. And so we've been looking into bigger pumps, and I've gotten a few quotes on bigger pumps that will at least make sure that we're not gonna have any backups anymore. And that's probably gonna be close to, as far as installation of the drives and everything else we gotta do, programming, we're looking at around $150,000. But I guess my gut feeling, and I know Al's is too, is that we can try all day to get I out of the system, but it's not gonna happen fast enough until spring comes. And, I mean, we got really probably at least 2 full years before some major lining is going to be happening, that I think that we should upgrade those pumps. And, what we would do is do 2 bigger pumps and still maintain our 2 smaller pumps. With that, we would be able to keep our smaller pumps for spares and keep those VFDs for spares. So it's not gonna be anything that's wasted. It'll just be redundancy. And the way it is right now, ordering drives, we've ordered drives that were almost a year out now. Everything is just so backed up on that to have a little redundancy over there wouldn't be the worst idea. So, I guess I kinda want your opinions if that's something that you guys would consider passing, is if I get complete official quotes. I got quotes on the pumps, but I don't have installation, if that's something you guys would be interested in passing, or if we're gonna just continue to investigate I and try to get some pumps and all that stuff out of there, off the system and off of the collections system. But like I said, that stuff is really far out, and it's a long and slow process. That to do something where I feel good going into next spring would be putting in these bigger pumps.
I don't think it's
Have you
if.
contacted Strand at all about their deficiencies in their design?
Yeah, I have, and they designed it for the information they had. They kind of designed it, what they designed it for is almost exactly what it's putting out. So I can't say that it's not meeting their design. Why they designed it not any bigger, I don't know, and I wish they would have, but this is what they got, or this is what we got, and it's kind of what we have to work with now.
Yeah, it sounds like a failure of them to investigate further and just use 5 years of information. So,
Yeah, the 5 years was probably the drawback, because if you go back farther than 5 years is where we find the bigger spikes. I know, like, even like the flooding in, is it 2010 or whatever?
But even that being said,
You know, that stuff's not even,
to use a flow for the whole day compared to a peak flow during a couple hours is really the issue. We can't keep up with normally a flow that we see of what, that it can do to over 3 million. We never really reach that, but we can have peak flows during the daytime with rain events and things that can get above what we can do at
that's
that
true,
big
because
GPM, so it doesn't.
even when we backed up in July, that total day wasn't even 3 million over there, but during that time period it was, and that's when we backed up for a few hours.
So the information can be deceiving.
Yes, yeah, so when you say,
Absolutely.
It can do 3.2 million a day, well, it's never very that often where you just have an even 3.2 million where it can keep up. No, you get basically 5 MGD coming in for a couple hours, and I don't know, this is something that all the guys here, we've talked about, and we looked into everything, and we've tore air reliefs apart and check valves, and it's to the point where it's like we're not gonna sleep good when spring comes
Yeah, it
around
doesn't seem
again,
like
because it's
if it backs up again, it just kind of when with our situation. If it's not backing up a lot of places, but the few close ones.
so this is kind of one of the things we came up with for being able to utilize what we have still. The majority of the time, the 2 small pumps would be running. Having the backup pumps would be nice, because then we can just swap them out, and then we can probably do that work in-house then, versus now if a pump goes down, we're running it to somewhere to get done so we can get it back in, and paying more for it, and because we have to have it at all times. So
you ask a question, what do you want from the commission?
I guess what I would want to do is bring forth, I do have the quotes for the pumps, but I would I just wanted to make sure that I didn't put all the work into getting a quote ready to go, and then you guys say, I don't wanna do this, that's not the route we wanna go. So if this is something you guys would want and would accept, I would put together a formal quote for getting it passed for next month.
So to get bigger pumps, you have to get bigger freak drives.
Yeah, our drives,
So the drives have to be replaced along with the pumps.
yep,
But are you saying that you could put pumps in there that could pump more with the existing freak drives?
no, they would have to get, but we would still have those spares for the drives that are in there now for the two small pumps. We kinda have redundancy on the two smaller pumps, so they're not gonna get wasted.
Well, my feeling is that you should do that. You should. And have you talked to Tim about this and as far as the money goes?
Oh, Tim DeSorcy.
You have to budget for it?
So, that's actually another thing. What I would do is, we plan to do Dewey this year and replace the MCC there. Going back to everything being completely backed up, if we decided today that, yes, we're gonna go with new drives, new MCC at Dewey for
Just
270.
reallocate the money?
Reallocate it, because that's, even if I said today that, yes, go ahead with ordering the Dewey MCC panels, we're not gonna see a bill for over a year anyway. So we'd reallocate it, and then next year, that leftover money would go towards finishing up on Dewey's MCC.
Personally, I don't think you have a choice when it comes to the west side list.
In my eyes, I just feel like it's gonna happen again, and then I'm gonna have to deal with it all again, and eventually, we got that overflow now reported by the DNR that's gonna come up on the next CMAR, where if they look into it, it's okay, what have you done, what are you gonna do in the
Nothing.
future?
They're not
And
gonna like that.
you have another one, and
No, they're not gonna like that.
so it affects.
Derek,
Yes,
this is Joe Eichstedt.
Hey, Joe.
Do you know what sort of, so if we upgrade the VFDs, upgrade the two pumps, what is the, do we have an idea of the capacity gain?
yeah,
And where that relates to our peak flow?
I do.
Do you know what that force main, what's the maximum it could take?
So it really depends on, the problem is the pressure on the force main can take it, but the pressure goes up. So what happens is, the more flow we try to push through it right now, the pumps just can't overcome the pressure. But the capacity of that HDPE line is fine. That can go up to like 200 PSI. And we're doing like, there's like 35 on the line, but the head that the pumps have to pump against is like 95 feet ahead, which is a lot for the pumps that are in there right now. So what we see is one pump by itself can run and do about 750, things like 750 GPM. Well, you put another pump on, and it's not like you double it and do 1400 or 1500 GPM. You lose quite a bit more. So now two pumps are only doing 1200 GPM. Now you put three pumps on, and they're doing like 1800 GPM, and four pumps do close to 2300 GPM. So you can't just take the one pump curve and times it by 4, and that's what's going to be your total, because that static pressure on the line keeps increasing the more flow you go through. So with the new pumps, even that being said, the pump curves are coming out exactly what they're supposed to come out to with those pumps. So, oh, I didn't break that off. I have the pump curves of the recommended pumps to put in there, and those together are supposed to be able to do like well over 3,000 GPM. And right now we're, like I said, we're doing about 2,300 GPM, so it's substantially bigger. And at that point, if we were backing up on that side, we were gonna probably have a lot of problems at the plant itself.
Yeah. The math works out at that pumping rate for us. So,
Hey, David,
Yeah,
so he's asking a question that I don't know that it needs to have, well, it's not on the agenda. So we can't make a motion for it, but, I guess he's looking for consensus.
yeah, I guess that would be it. We could tell them to move forward with it and then bring it back next month as an item to switch the funding over from the Dewey Lift. If that's what the commission wants to do.
I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really think we should put any more sewage in the river.
No, the DNR's not gonna like that.
Are you making a motion, Jim?
Well, I don't know.
It probably doesn't need one.
Well, you're gonna have to vote on it next month to do it, so.
Yeah, I
This is
just
just telling you.
kinda want to make you guys aware of
Get the
it.
quote,
Yeah.
bring it to the,
Okay,
I just didn't
You
wanna,
got a good feeling here, so.
okay.
yeah,
And yes, now so you guys.
if it's
just
$1 million, well, we might say no.
Sure,
yeah.
okay, well then I will work on that.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, acceptance of bills and revenues.
$535.20 for training and education for Alan Dalkey. You don't look at smart.
Is that actually what it says on there?
It does.
Well, see, you don't know how I feel though.
That was what the training hotel plus the
Yeah, for the WWA.
mileage.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bills and revenues.
We have a motion to accept the bills and revenues, and have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the bills and revenues. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? None. Motion carried. Next item is referrals.
We still have the landfill contract on there. We talked to Sue a little bit about that, about what we want to see in the future as far as permit levels and stuff. So I'm not sure if she ever talked to them yet about that, but that'll be something coming down the line where we'll talk about that. But that's it.
That was for the landfill expansion?
No, not the expansion. Their contract is up for wastewater. So it's separate from that expansion.
Oh, okay.
So on referrals for next month, you're gonna have the west side, or the pump problem you're gonna have on the
Yep.
agenda for next month.
Yeah,
And
I'll
also
put that on there.
a beer and contract update.
if we have anything, I would think we would by that point, but if there's not anything on there, I'm not going to put beer and contract update on there, because there's gonna be nothing to report. But I'll keep in contact with Sue, to see, she said as soon as she hears anything, she's going to let me know, so.
So
Okay,
far,
anything else on
2 weeks into
Referrals?
December, we haven't heard anything. So
Mhm.
it's 2 weeks left.
Yeah, I see that.
That's,
Okay, if now we'll go to the last item, adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.